Comments on 60 Minutes by former Pentagon and intelligence official Lou Elizondo put the global spotlight on the government's look into unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs. Now Elizondo is sharing more details about his work. He is the author of the new book, Imminent, Inside the Pentagon's Hunt for UFOs. In it, he writes these crafts are not made by humans, and they present a very serious national security issue. Lou Elizondo joins us first right here on CBS Mornings. Welcome.
Thank you. My honor and privilege.
Yeah, a lot of people, I think, even if you don't believe in UFOs or you are someone that definitely believes that there is something out there, you talk about this idea of these crafts being created to, quote, be friends from out of town. What makes you so certain that they're not made by humans? And also, if I could, early in your book, you said when governments lie to their people, all of democracy is at risk. Do you think the government is lying?
Well, we know that the government never lies, right? Iran-Contra, Pentagon Papers, Afghanistan withdrawal. No, unfortunately, the government is not this huge colossal machine, if you will. It's segregated into these little fiefdoms, if you will. And unfortunately, they don't always coordinate and talk with one another.
Boy, if he didn't put it in the like the best way that anybody can say it to somebody new hearing it for the first time, the way he breaks down the government and then the way he says our democracy is at stake, that's the best way to put this whole thing, bro. Because you hear it all the time. My trust is gone. It's been broken. Now it's gone. It's gone. But like he said, a lot of us think of the government as just this one big, huge, like powerful entity when it's all in actuality, it's broken up. And sometimes the left hand don't know what the right hand is doing.
As far as these vehicles not being made by humans, if you will, that's not me saying that. We have scientists, some of the top scientists that your taxpayer dollars have paid for them to conduct this research. And at the end of the day, when you're studying the material and you're studying the capabilities of these vehicles, and frankly, there's nothing that we have that compares to what these vehicles can do, the capabilities that they're demonstrating in front of us, then one has to ask, well, where are they from? And if it's not our technology and it's not some sort of adversarial technology, it's someone's technology.
In a statement to CBS News, the Pentagon spokesperson said that the department will follow the data wherever it leads. However, to date, we have not found any credible evidence of extraterrestrial activity. Are there other explanations that should be considered? Is there hard evidence that this is a non-human technology?
That's a great point. And so I think we need to look at this from a temporal aspect, a time aspect. I think if you were to look at it now and say, well, there's no evidence these things are, if you will, not human. The reality is we've been dealing with this topic as a government for decades. So it's not like there's some sort of adversarial technology that just popped on the proverbial radar that's ahead of us. This is something we've been dealing with as a nation for 60 years. So let's put that into perspective. This would be like going into King Tut's tomb for the very first time and finding a fully assembled 747 inside the tomb. It doesn't make sense, right? From a time perspective, we're talking the 1950s, the late 1940s, where this technology has been demonstrated over controlled U.S. airspace, over some of our most sensitive military installations. And by the way, there's official U.S. documentation that substantiates this.
You know what, Lou? I really enjoyed your book. I thought it was really eye-opening about the secrets that people keep. You make a point of saying you believe secrets have an expiration date. And it seems you and your family really went through hell as part of your job, both physically and mentally. And at one point, you ended up quitting your job, and your wife said to you, who quits a job without a job? And you said to her what?
Well, I said to her a lot of things, I'm sure. At the end of the day, I made the decision to leave my job and pursue this topic because it was the right thing to do. And I don't think my family would have respected me if I didn't.
You said a man who can't live with himself. That's a line that stood out to me. But why do they want to keep this a secret? And what do you mean that secrets have expiration dates in less than 90 seconds?
Sure, less than 90 seconds. Well, secrets are made to protect two things, sources and methods. They're not designed to stop, if you will, the American people from learning the truth about embarrassing things or trying to hide things. This is a topic where I believe America can handle the truth. And I think America deserves to know the truth about this topic, about your taxpayer money that's been spent over the decades to try to figure out just what the heck is going on.
I think he said it best. We deserve to hear the truth. We don't deserve you deciding whether or not we get to hear the truth. That's what we don't deserve. We deserve to hear what you guys have been keeping from us for a long time. Like you saying, I'm a big boy. I can deal with it. I'm a big boy.
Look, you have former directors of national intelligence, former directors of CIA, and even former presidents all coming out saying, yeah, this is a valid and real topic and a national security issue.
Yeah, and I think there's so much information in that book we so appreciate and wish we had more time, Lou. Lou Elizondo, thank you for coming in.
Whether you believe it or not, we are not alone in this universe. The government has been hiding it perfectly for years, but not anymore.
What's interesting is the onslaught of this release of a document with regards to the UAPs. How many pages was it? 9 pages? And did the world react to it? No.
The infamous hacker group, Anonymous, just hacked into a NASA computer and revealed their biggest secret. They said that NASA has known about other life forms in our universe for a while now, but they hide it from the world. Who is this Anonymous group? And what exactly did they find in NASA's files?
Ever since humankind launched itself into space, there have been reports where astronauts describe something that they saw while being up in the spaceship.
Claims against NASA. Anonymous is the digital vigilante of the internet world. This group started in the early 2000s and became famous for hacking into big companies, governments, and organizations to expose secrets. They wear those cool Guy Fawkes masks, you know, from the movie V for Vendetta. Now the big news.
I don't care what mask they wear. You'll never hear me saying nothing negative, even closely negative about them, bro. You know what they can do? You know what their capabilities are? Yeah. If you was like me, you wouldn't say nothing bad either.
Anonymous has just claimed to have hacked into NASA's computer system, and they claim that the stuff they have found is mind-blowing. One of their members came out and said they found some super secret files. These files supposedly show that NASA has been seriously looking for advanced life forms. Not only that, but they have actually made some kind of contact with aliens. According to Anonymous, NASA has been keeping all of this secret. They say these files prove that NASA has known about alien life for a while now, but has not told us. One of the Anonymous members even said that we are on the verge of finding evidence of alien life. They are saying that this discovery is going to be one of the biggest in history. Another member of Anonymous said they talked to people with high-level security clearances who confirmed everything. These insiders apparently said that the US government and NASA know all about UFOs. Not only do these unidentified objects exist, but they have also been spotted near military bases and other sensitive locations. According to them, these UFOs can move at insane speeds and outmaneuver our fastest jets. So the government is keeping quiet because they cannot control these objects. Now, Anonymous does not say they found this information first, but they feel it is their duty to spread the word. They want everyone to know that we are part of something much bigger. They believe we should start having more open conversations about our place in the universe. They also want us to listen to people who have seen these strange aircraft. According to Anonymous, NASA has known about these UFOs for a long time, and people who have tried to talk about them have been shut down. Some former government workers have even said they were stopped whenever they tried to discuss this topic. While we wait for Anonymous to release these said files and tell us more about this big secret, we just wish the same thing does not happen to Anonymous that happened to Gary McKinnon 2 decades ago. Do you know who Gary was and what the government did to him? Gary McKinnon. Gary McKinnon is the guy who pulled off one of the biggest hacks of all time. If you have never heard of him, brace yourself to hear what he dared to do. Gary McKinnon is now a Scottish systems administrator and hacker, but he is not just any average computer geek. Born in 1966, Gary had a pretty normal upbringing. He was into computers and technology from a young age, which led him to become a systems administrator. It was nothing too out of the ordinary, but Gary had a fascination with UFOs and conspiracy theories, which took his tech skills to a whole new level. In the early 2000s, Gary decided to use his computer skills to satisfy his curiosity about UFOs. He believed that the US government was hiding information about extraterrestrial life and advanced technology. So he took it upon himself to find out the truth. What he did next would go down in history. Between 2001 and 2002, Gary hacked into 97 U.S. military and NASA computers from his girlfriend's aunt's house in London. He also used to do something funny. He would use the name Solo and leave messages on the hacked systems, calling the U.S. military security crap. Gary said he was looking for evidence of UFOs, free energy technology, and government cover-ups. And the wild thing is that he claims he found it. Gary said he discovered a lot of interesting.
See, that's why they fear hackers. Among the other things that they can do or hack into and destroy and steal and all that type of stuff like that. But gaining access to classified information that they don't want us to have, that we've been asking for, that's a huge thing that they fear them for. That's why a lot of times after they arrest them, what they do, hey, come work for us. Come work for us. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Stuff. One of the most talked about things he found was a document titled Non-Terrestrial Officers. He claimed this list contained the names of U.S. military personnel who were supposedly part of a secret space fleet. He also said he found images of UFOs and detailed information about how the government was hiding advanced technology from the public. But all of this came at a huge cost. The U.S. government was not happy about Gary's little adventure. They accused him of causing $700,000 worth of damage to their systems and launched a massive effort to bring him to justice. The U.S. wanted to extradite him to face charges, which could have landed him in prison for up to 70 years. Not just that, but the U.S. wanted to execute him. Gary's case became huge. He was arrested in 2002 by British authorities, but fought extradition to the U.S. for over a decade. His supporters included human rights groups and celebrities. They agreed that his actions were illegal, but they also argued that they were driven by a genuine belief in government transparency and a desire to uncover the truth about UFOs.
Now, to say that warranted execution is crazy to me. When you have guys that are sitting on death row and you don't even want to know, and they might just ride out the rest of their time, or guys that are serving a life sentence behind bars who've done way worse. And you hear this and you're like, wow. So they want you gone for a reason. You know something, you found something, you hacked into something, and yeah, they don't need that getting out.
They also pointed out that Gary was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, which they argued should be taken into account. The case went on for years. In 2012, the British government finally blocked his extradition. This decision was a huge relief for Gary and his supporters, but it left a lot of questions unanswered. What exactly did he find? Why was the U.S. so determined to prosecute him? And most intriguingly, was there any truth to his claims? Gary never addressed the public after the case ended. Many believe he was pressured to keep quiet about what he found. There are rumors that he was warned or even threatened to ensure he would not reveal any more information about his findings. Even though Gary McKinnon was not able to tell us everything about his findings, we do have some other proof of extraterrestrial life. So what proof is there that aliens do exist? UFO sightings. On June the 24th, 1947, a private pilot, Kenneth Arnold, was flying his plane near Mount Rainier. Suddenly, he saw 9 shiny objects zooming through the sky toward his aircraft. He estimated they were flying at a speed of about 1,200 miles per hour. To give you some context, that was around 3 times faster than any plane could fly back then. It was a crazy sight for him. It is. While Arnold was still trying to make sense of what he saw, over in Richland, Washington, a guy named L.G. Bernier also reported seeing something strange in the sky. He spotted 3 of these mysterious objects flying toward Mount Rainier at about the same time Arnold had his encounter. Was it just a coincidence? Probably not. After that, in Yakima, Ethel Wheelhouse claimed to have seen high-speed flying objects too. The wild thing is that the time she saw them matched up with Arnold's sighting. On the same day, people in Seattle also reported seeing these fast-moving discs in the sky. If it were just 1 or 2 people, we could maybe brush it off. But so many people from the same area saw the same thing. That is a lot harder to dismiss. After 10 days, a United Airlines crew flying over Idaho had a similar encounter. They saw flying objects that looked just like the ones Arnold described. These objects were following their plane, After Arnold's sighting, it seemed like everyone started seeing these saucer-shaped crafts. Reports came flooding in from all over the world, and the term UFO, or unidentified flying object, became famous. And just when things couldn't get any weirder, along came the Roswell incident. This is one of the biggest and most controversial UFO stories ever. It happened in the first week of July 1947. A rancher named WWW Mac Brazel found some strange wreckage on his land about 75 miles northwest of Roswell, New Mexico. This was not any typical farm debris. There were metallic fragments, rubber strips, and some weird paper-like material. Now he knew everywhere in the world people were talking about UFOs, so Brazel thought he might have stumbled upon something extraterrestrial. So what he did was report it to the local sheriff, George Wilcox, who then called in Major Jesse A. Marcel from the Roswell Army Airfield. Major Marcel inspected the wreckage, both at the sheriff's office and the crash site. The military got involved pretty quickly. In fact, the Army Air Force issued a press release saying that they had recovered a flying disc. Naturally, the media went crazy over this news. This was the first real evidence that we might not be alone in the universe. But then, just as quickly as the story broke, it fell apart. The military retracted their statement and said it was just a weather balloon. This sudden change of story, along with the swift removal of the debris, started conspiracy theories. People were not...
Of course it did, because we're not dumb. We're not dumb. Like, what do y'all take us for? Oh, you think you're just going to be able to do that and then just clean up the scene and then all is well, we'll forget or we won't say nothing? No, you're going to get stuff like this. UFOs are real and the government knows it. Truth about Roswell. Signs, picket signs and everything like that. No, fam.
Not buying it. They felt the government was covering something up. The story lay low for a while, but in 1987, British ufologist Timothy Good fueled the rumors once again. He revealed a document that talked about a secret group called Majestic 12. According to this document, this group was tasked with investigating and hiding the truth about the Roswell incident. The document even suggested that what was found was not just a crashed aircraft, but the body of an extraterrestrial being. That's what we know about the Roswell incident for now. We can only make our theories from here. But this was just the beginning of many strange UFO sightings. Who else saw these unidentified flying objects in the sky? From what we know of our history, it seems like the government acted as a buffer between the public and the strange phenomena happening in our skies during the Cold War. Did you know between 1947 and 1969, more than 12,000 UFO sightings were recorded? This was the time when Project Blue Book was started. It was a top-secret initiative with the mission to determine whether these unidentified flying objects were harmless or posed a real threat to national security. Despite the apparent knowledge of extraterrestrial visits, the government was not ready to share this information with the public, but people kept their eyes peeled and continued to report what they saw. One such incident took place on August 21st, 1955, in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. The Sutton family and their friends experienced something extraordinary that night. Billy Ray Taylor, a family friend, went out to fetch water. When he returned, he claimed to have seen a mysterious object gliding silently over their home. Initially, everyone thought Billy Ray was joking, but soon they all witnessed it themselves. The family described seeing a small, glowing figure with an oversized head and talon-like hands. Its eyes were bright yellow. Naturally, the Suttons did what anyone in their situation would do. They grabbed their guns, but no matter how much they fired, the little man seemed to flip and vanish like a ghost. The next day, the police conducted a thorough search of the property, but found no evidence. Each member of the family described...
See, we don't even know what the weapons we need to have against them. We don't even know that. We can't protect ourselves, defend ourselves if they mean harm. That's another thing we have to take into account. We don't even know if they mean harm. Heck, they walking amongst us now, some of us feel. So if they haven't done anything yet, then they may or may not mean harm. So, but anyway, we don't have weapons the first.
The events in the same way, so it means none of them were lying either. Instead of taking their story seriously, a self-proclaimed paranormal investigator suggested that the family had mistaken owls for alien beings. Really? Since when do owls have glowing eyes and humanoid bodies? And the strange occurrences did not end there. Skinwalker Ranch, a 500-acre property, has been a famous site of weird activity for decades. There have been reports of crop circles appearing overnight, cattle being found completely drained of blood, and sightings of a massive wolf-like creature that seems invulnerable to bullets. Robert Bigelow, who is a Las Vegas real estate tycoon with a strong interest in UFOs, purchased the ranch for $200,000. He was intrigued by the rumors of paranormal activity. After Bigelow's ownership, the ranch changed hands multiple times and eventually became a research hub for unexplained phenomena. A particularly crazy incident occurred on March 12, 1997. At the time, the ranch was under surveillance by Bigelow's National Institute for Discovery Science. That night, biochemist Colin Kelleher spotted a huge humanoid figure watching the facility from a tree. It was as unsettling as it sounds, and it gets even stranger. Next to the ranch is Bottle Hollow, a 420-acre reservoir on Ute land. In 1998, a police officer saw a massive light plunge into the reservoir, only to shoot back out and disappear into the night sky. This was not a hallucination, people. It was a genuine UFO sighting. These incidents are far from isolated. Our history is full of similar stories that have been downplayed or covered up, from NATO's exercise main base sightings in the North Atlantic to the disappearance of an F-89C Scorpion jet pilot in 1953, and the strange lights over Lubbock, Texas in 1951. The list goes on. People from all walks of life, scientists, military personnel, and everyday citizens have reported seeing things they can't explain. You might be tempted to dismiss these as mass hysteria or elaborate pranks. But when you consider the sheer number of reports from credible sources spanning different times and places, it makes you think twice. And if these stories made you gasp or lean in towards your screen, just wait until we tell you about a place in America that is rumored to be the epicenter of extraterrestrial research, Area 51. Present in the heart of the southern Nevada desert is a location called Area 51, and it is the stuff of legend. This super secretive spot covers over 90,000 acres. It is so secretive that the U.S. government only told about its existence in 2013. So what's with all the mystery? It is said that Area 51 is a hub of classified activities. You won't find traditional fences here. Instead, the perimeter is marked with orange poles and signs that sternly warn of the use of deadly force against trespassers. This place is serious about keeping its secrets.
Like, that's a sign you don't see every day, bro. That's a place, like, no fences, just a sign. Yeah, that's one time where I'll be like, you know what, I'm gonna pay attention. A lot of times you be like, bump this sign. But no, this one I'm adhere to what it's saying. But that's crazy. Use of deadly force if you come past it. What are you hiding? What are you hiding?
The stories that have turned Area 51 into a modern myth started in 1989, thanks to a guy named Robert Lazar. Lazar claimed he worked on alien technology inside the base. He even said he had seen autopsy photos of aliens, and that the U.S. government was studying otherworldly spacecraft at this facility. Later, it turned out he might have lied about his employment, but by then, the damage was done. Area 51 had already cemented its place in UFO folklore. Even if we set Lazar's claims aside, Area 51 still looks suspicious. Reports of strange aircraft sightings in the area date back to the 50s and 60s. Many people claim they have seen UFOs flying around. And why all the secrecy, though? The government says that Area 51 is a testing ground for new aircraft and advanced technology. But honestly, the level of secrecy is enough to make anyone suspicious. Is it just about national security, or is there something more extraterrestrial going on? The government keeps insisting that there is nothing extraordinary happening at Area 51, but the constant stream of unexplained phenomena suggests otherwise. Whether it is mysterious lights in the sky or strange aircraft that don't fit any known design, the stories just keep coming. So what's really happening at Area 51? The truth is, we may never know for sure. But what we know is that some people claim they were once abducted by aliens. Have you heard their stories? Alien abductions. This is the most famous alien abduction story ever. The case of Betty and Barney Hill. On a cool September evening in 1961, this couple was driving back home to Portsmouth after a relaxing vacation in Niagara Falls. The night was clear, stars twinkling in the sky, when suddenly a strange light caught their attention. This light seemed to be moving in the sky. It grew brighter and more persistent as they drove. The couple grew curious, so they pulled over to take a closer look. Betty grabbed a pair of binoculars And through the lenses, what she initially thought was a star changed into a spinning object hovering just above the treetops. Barney took his gun and stepped out to get a better look. What he saw made him turn to stone. He spotted some strange gray-colored beings peering back at him from behind the windows of the flying object.
Now, although I've heard this story a few times, more than a few, right? But each time I think about something different when I hear it, right? This time they talked about him grabbing his weapon before proceeding out to see what that thing was. You think that made them engage? What about the binoculars that she was looking at him through? You think that made them engage? If they not had that stuff in their hands, would they have kept going? I just keep trying to dissect and break down like what would cause them to come after you or engage with you. Or maybe it's just totally random if you believe in randomness.
When Barney tried to draw his pistol, he felt an invisible force preventing him from doing so. At that moment, he realized they were about to be captured. Barney panicked and dashed back to the car, and as they sped away, their minds clouded over, becoming drowsy, and then nothing. When they woke up, they found themselves at home. Their clothes were dirty and ripped, their watches had stopped working, and they had no memory of the strange encounter. To ease their growing unease, the couple sought help from a psychiatrist. After a series of hypnosis sessions, they slowly began to remember what had happened to them. The Hills recounted that they had been taken aboard the alien craft, where they were examined by beings with large eyes. These beings collected samples from their bodies, like clipping their nails, plucking their hair, and scraping their skin, and placed the samples into clear bottles. There was also a leader who observed silently from the corner of the room. After the examination, their memories were wiped clean, and they were sent on their way. Once the Hills regained their memories, they shared their terrifying story with the world. Their account broke in 1965, turning Betty and Barney from ordinary citizens into central figures of a UFO phenomenon. But the Hills were not the only ones. Let's move forward to November 5th, 1975. Travis Walton was working with 6 colleagues in the dense Sitgreaves National Forest near Heber, Arizona. As the workday ended, they sat in their truck, ready to head home. But something strange happened that night. They spotted a bright saucer-shaped UFO hovering about 20 feet above a clearing. Walton was super curious, so he stepped out of the truck to get a closer look. Suddenly, a blue-green beam of light from the craft struck him and knocked him to the ground. His crewmates panicked by looking at all this and sped off. But then they felt guilty and returned, only to find Walton missing and the UFO gone. For 5 agonizing days, Walton was nowhere to be found. Then, as mysteriously as he had disappeared, he reappeared, dazed and disoriented, miles away from his last known location. Walton claimed to have fleeting memories of being aboard the craft and undergoing examinations by unfamiliar beings. However, he lost consciousness during the event and could only recall fragments. This incident became one of the most documented and controversial UFO encounters. The exact location of the event was later burned in the Rodeo Chudisky fire in 2002, and the old logging road was decommissioned. But the mystery of what happened to Travis Walton that night remains alive, even after 50 years. Reports of alien abductions have come from many countries, especially in English-speaking regions like the US. Despite these numerous accounts, the government does not seem too eager to investigate further. Maybe they don't want to believe in aliens, or maybe they do, but don't want us to know. Whatever their reasons, the explanations they offer often feel dismissive. They suggest that abduction stories are just products of mental health issues, particularly sleep paralysis. Sure, sleep paralysis is a real condition, but chalking up every alien encounter to sleep paralysis seems a bit too convenient. And how do you explain multiple people having the same experience simultaneously? They also argue that memories recovered under hypnosis are unreliable. They say that these memories come from movies, media, or imagination. But this explanation is as bogus as the rest of the government's responses. The government has carried out some perfect cover-ups for the past years, and those were as ridiculous as these explanations. But what exactly was there that the government covered up? Government's cover-ups. Let us tell you about some of the most obvious government cover-ups ever. First, let's go back to July 7, 1947. A man named William Rhodes took some photos of a strange object flying over Phoenix, Arizona. These photos were published in local newspapers and quickly caught the attention of Army Air Force intelligence and the FBI. They convinced Rhodes to hand over the negatives, promising to return them. But guess what? He never saw those photos again. They ended up classified in Air Force UFO reports, hidden from the public. Then in 1967, a memo from USAF Lieutenant General Hewitt Wheelis came to light. In this memo, Wheelis mentioned that unknown people, pretending to be military personnel, were threatening civilians who reported UFO sightings. They even took their film and told them to keep quiet. This shows a clear pattern of evidence suppression. And then there was the Roswell incident, probably the most famous of all. In 1978, UFO researcher Stanton Friedman interviewed Jesse Marcel, who was a key witness to the Roswell debris. Marcel's story contradicted the official explanation that the wreckage was just a weather balloon. He described details that suggested something much more extraordinary. Another example involves astronaut Gordon Cooper. In 1957, Cooper reported that a clear UFO film shot at Edwards Air Force Base was taken by the military and never seen again. Other witnesses confirmed Cooper's story, which gave it more credibility. Conspiracy theories did not stop with these incidents. Authors like George C. Andrews and Bill Cooper linked UFO cover-ups to broader government conspiracies. They even suggested that President Kennedy was assassinated because he was planning to expose alien secrets.
Not the first time we've heard that theory. And with real supporting facts, might I add. With the things he knew and was questioning and stuff like that. Not saying that was the whole reason, but he definitely had some questions about some things and was looking into some things.
This might sound crazy, but could be true. And then in recent years, credible sources have come forward with shocking claims. David Grush, who is a former U.S. Department of Defense intelligence officer, made headlines in June 2023. He claimed that the government had recovered alien technology and aircraft. He was not alone. His statements were supported by former Pentagon colleagues and whistleblowers Christopher Mellon and Jonathan Gray. In July 2023, Grush testified under oath during the first Congress hearing on UFOs. He offered to name others who knew about a secret U.S. government crash retrieval program, which has been allegedly hiding evidence of alien encounters since World War II. So if this is all true, why doesn't the government just tell us about extraterrestrial life? Some say it is to avoid public panic, but others wonder if there is something bigger they are not telling us. Critics argue that it would be incredibly difficult to keep such a massive secret for so long, especially across different countries and political parties. Yet the silence from the government on UFO matters is intriguing. Are they trying to protect us from something we are not ready to handle? Or is there another reason they are hiding everything from us?